Hey Star Trek fans, Dan Gunther here, and welcome back to what is looking to be a huge week in Trek. The biggest development this week is, of course, the return of Star Trek Discovery with 2 new episodes this week, kicking off the 5th and final season of that show. But on top of that, we have a ton of new Star Trek news this week, which we should jump right into.
But aren't you glad I got a job?
You mean this isn't a one-time thing?
Nope. I'm now an official correspondent for the Starfleet News Service.
This past week saw the release of a lengthy and must-read article from Variety entitled The Future of Star Trek, From Starfleet Academy to New Movies and Michelle Yeoh, How the 58-Year-Old Franchise is Planning for the Next Generation of Fans. The article, written by Adam B. Vary, features interviews and behind-the-scenes looks at Strange New Worlds' 3rd season, the upcoming Section 31 film, and also gives us our first peek into the production of the next television series, Starfleet Academy. Last week, we reported that Section 31 had finished filming, and the Variety article was granted access to report on that production. In some amazing surprise casting news, we may now know when in Star Trek history the series is set. Revealed in the article, it turns out that Casey Roll, whom we had previously reported had joined the cast of Section 31, is playing a young version of Rachel Garrett, whom Trek fans were introduced to as the captain of the USS Enterprise C in the TNG episode Yesterday's Enterprise. Huge news that Rachel Garrett is going to be a part of this movie. I'm really thrilled to see how that figures into things. So does that mean that Section 31 takes place during what has come to be known as the Lost Era of Star Trek, which is the period between the end of Captain Kirk's adventures in the late 23rd century and the beginning of Picard's tenure as captain of the Enterprise D in the mid to late 24th century? If so, this Star Trek fan in particular is very excited for what that means we could see in the upcoming film. We also got a look at the first picture from Section 31, featuring Michelle Yeoh's Georgiou character with a mysterious, seemingly cybernetically enhanced individual. Curious about what this is all about, and really can't wait to find out. Moving on to Strange New Worlds, we learn that Season 3 will feature a new set, a scientific laboratory that boasts a large water-filled tank and sophisticated-looking computer equipment. In this photo that features in the Variety article, we can see the new set along with Spock, donning what looks to be an updated version of this costume from the TOS episode The Naked Time. Sort of a futuristic hazmat suit, although in that original episode I think it was supposed to be cold weather gear. The article also talks about Strange New Worlds' tendency to experiment with new genres within the Star Trek universe. Jonathan Frakes reveals that he directed an episode that is, quote, framed as a Hollywood murder mystery. He also describes it as the best episode of television I've ever done. That sure sounds exciting to me. Next up on the television front is Starfleet Academy, which we still don't know a ton about. Although fans have believed this to be the case for some time, the Variety article confirms it. Starfleet Academy does in fact take place in the 32nd century post-Star Trek Discovery. The new show is expected to start filming this summer and will take Discovery's place in Toronto's Pinewood Studios. Excitingly, one of the sets being constructed for the show is set to be, quote, the largest single set ever created for Star Trek television. This is the description of that set in the article. Plans include the series' central academic atrium, a sprawling 2-story structure that will include a mess hall, amphitheater, trees, catwalks, multiple classrooms, and a striking view of the Golden Gate Bridge in a single contiguous space. To fit it all, they plan to use every inch of Pinewood, Toronto's 45,900 square foot soundstage. The previous record holder for largest standing Star Trek set was the Promenade of Deep Space Nine, an impressive set in and of itself. I very much look forward to seeing this Academy Atrium set realized. Moving on to the plans for future Star Trek films, Alex Kurtzman revealed that his Secret Hideout production company is considering more possible streaming movie ideas, including a possible follow-up to Star Trek Picard, an idea that definitely has some corners of Trek fandom very excited. A precursor to the Star Trek Legacy idea, perhaps. Michelle Yeoh has also stated that she is interested in a follow-up to the Section 31 film, provided, of course, that the first one is a success. And finally, in the theatrical film arena, the 4th and final Kelvin timeline film continues to be worked on, apparently. Personally, I'll actually believe that when I see them call action on a set for it. The other film that has been mentioned before, namely the prequel film under director Toby Haynes, is currently expected to move into pre-production later this year. As far as any theatrical release is concerned, I've been burned too many times recently to invest too much hope. We'll definitely keep an eye on things, and I will believe it when I see it. In the meantime, be sure to check out the article from Variety. It is very much worth your time to read. I'll have a link to it in the video description. Last week saw a bombshell bit of news cross many Trek fans' social media feeds. It seems that Star Trek Prodigy's second season dropped, but not for North American, or in fact English-speaking fans. Instead, France's national streaming platform, Oku, dropped all 20 episodes of Prodigy Season 2 in that country. This was, of course, a huge surprise to Trek fans who had no idea this was going to happen. In fact, the creators of the show, Kevin and Dan Hageman, seemed to be a bit in the dark on this as well. I resisted reporting on this last week until we knew more, and now it seems as though things are a little less up in the air, and everyone seems to be on the same page now. According to the Hageman brothers, the whole situation can be attributed to a lack of communication. Prodigy has been sold to a number of different foreign markets, but the plan for North America is still to release it on Netflix at some future, as yet undecided date. The versions on French television are only in the French language without English audio or subtitles. So if you are in France or are fluent in French, Prodigy is now available to you. However, the folks behind the scenes are asking that plots and spoilers from the second season be kept as secret as possible for now, so that all fans can enjoy the show when it officially comes out in their region. On this channel, I will be employing a strict no spoilers policy until the show drops, so no information from the content available in France will make its way onto this channel. Watch with ease, my friends. No spoilers here. As soon as we know a North American and other English markets release date, we will let you know. The nominations for this year's Hugo Awards have been announced, and Star Trek Strange New Worlds has garnered 2 nominations, both in the category of Best Dramatic Presentation Short Form. The full nominees are Doctor Who for The Giggle, Loki for Glorious Purpose, The Last of Us for Long, Long Time, Star Trek Strange New Worlds for Those Old Scientists, Star Trek Strange New Worlds again for Subspace Rhapsody, and Doctor Who for Wild Blue Yonder. The Hugo Awards celebrate the best of science fiction and fantasy, and Star Trek has long been a familiar presence at the awards, going all the way back to the original series in 1967, and most recently nominated in 2022 for the Lower Decks episode Way Douche. The awards will be presented on August 11th at the Glasgow 2024 Worldcon. Speaking of Subspace Rhapsody, we've just learned that the soundtrack for that musical episode is now available on vinyl. Lakeshore Records is releasing the double-sided LP around June 7th of this year. The album contains 11 tracks, which includes all of the songs from the episode, plus the version of the main title theme from that episode. Unfortunately, pre-orders for the album have already sold out, but they are expecting to have more available when the sell date arrives in June.
Let's see if the Braves are on. How do you cut on this TV?
TV?
Yeah, the boob tube.
I believe he means television, sir. That particular form of entertainment did not last much beyond the year 2040.
Of course, the big release this week is the first 2 episodes of Star Trek Discovery's 5th and final season. Both drop on Thursday, April 4th, and we have the synopsis for Episode 1, the season premiere, Red Directive. Captain Burnham and the USS Discovery are sent to retrieve a mysterious 800-year-old Romulan vessel until the artifact hidden inside is stolen, leading to an epic chase. Meanwhile, Saru is offered the position of a lifetime, and Tilly's efforts to help pull her into a tangled web of secrecy. And the second episode is titled Under the Twin Moons. It releases on the same day as the first episode. We don't have an official synopsis for that one yet, but in the recent SFX magazine article, showrunner Michelle Paradise described it as, quote, a lovely Burnham and Saru episode. The Star Trek fandom will definitely be abuzz when these episodes drop, and rest assured we will have coverage here on Kertrats Productions as well as on the podcast Positively Trek. Also out this week is issue number 11 of the Star Trek Explorer magazine. Here's the synopsis from the publisher. It's a busy time here at Star Trek Explorer. When news broke that the final season of Star Trek Discovery was set to air on Paramount Plus in April, we made some rapid changes to our planned content to make way for an exclusive interview with Sonequa Martin Green. She teases things to come as the series draws to a close and offers some candid comments on what she hopes the legacy of the show will be. Elsewhere, we have an exclusive interview with the Hageman brothers, creators of Star Trek Prodigy. There's a Star Trek Prodigy short story, Confirmation Bias, by Michael Dismuke, centering on a difficult encounter between Captain Shaw and 7 of 9 aboard the USS Titan A. And in David Mack's short story, Dignified Transfer, it's a sad mission for Captain Picard. Star Trek Explorer magazine number 11 is out on Wednesday, April 3rd. And finally, one more Star Trek release this week, the Star Trek Picard Seasons 2 and 3 trading cards from Rittenhouse Archives. As the name implies, this release covers both Seasons 2 and 3 of Star Trek Picard, with each box containing 24 packs of cards, featuring 3 autograph cards and 1 relic card per box. As with all of their Star Trek releases, the set also features a binder to store the cards in. The complete set features a base set of 60 cards, autograph cards, costume relics, sketch cards, and a number of bonus sets. To see all of the details, visit Rittenhouse Archives' website. I will have a link in the description. Star Trek Picard Seasons 2 and 3 trading card set also releases on Wednesday, April 3rd. And that's a wrap on another very full week in Trek. Thank you all so much for joining me, and thanks, of course, to the Patreon supporters. Be sure to subscribe to this channel to keep up to date on all the happenings in the Star Trek universe. Hit the bell for notifications for when a new video drops. And stay tuned for special coverage this week of the return of Star Trek Discovery, including a return of the Unready Room, our weekly live show whenever new Trek drops. I'm Dan Gunther. Thanks again so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Live long and prosper.